how Washington became a state, and what got lost, traded, and taken in the process. Sweet dives, let's get into it. Before this place was ever called Washington, it was home. Home to people who had been here over 12,000 years. Fishing the Nisqually, paddling the Duwamish, singing along the Skagit, gathering cedar and salmon with purpose. The Coast Salish world stretched from what we now call British Columbia to the Columbia River. Tribes like the Suquamish, Duwamish, Puyallup, Yakima, Lumi, and Nisqually weren't visitors, they were architects of the landscape. Then came the ships, not explorers, scout crews and opportunists, casing the coastline like it was a vault. In 1775, it was Spain's Bruno de Hezeta, planting flags on land that was already spoken for. By 1792, it was Captain George Vancouver. He came sailing through the Puget Sound, mapping what wasn't his, and naming mountains like trophies. Rainier, Baker, St. Helens. That's not discovery, that's branding. Before the churches and the trading posts showed up, the violence had already started. The first waves didn't come with armies. They came with guns, greed, and disease. There were killings, burnings, kidnappings, acts to clear the land for profit. They'd preach friendship, trade trinkets, and take notes, then return with soldiers and settlers. They studied native systems, learned where food was stored, how people moved, and then used that knowledge to dismantle it. That's not exploration. By the late 1700s, smallpox had already hit, spreading in 1782 and then again decades after. By 1847, measles tore through what was left, killing families faster than they could bury their own. Some regions lost up to 90% of their people. Then came the next phase, the fur companies and the missionaries, the soft front of an economic invasion. They built outposts, not sanctuaries. They sold faith in furs, not salvation. That kind of loss doesn't just change a population, it changes the memory of a place. When the United States finally showed up with paperwork, it came dressed as diplomacy. But these were forced sales with fine print. Governor Isaac Stevens, the first territorial governor, called the tribes together between 1854 and 1855 to sign a series of treaties. At Medicine Creek, Chief Leschi of Nisqually refused to give up his river land for a rocky patch miles from water. He was arrested, tried twice, and hanged in 1858. His crime? Refusing a bad deal. His legacy? Truth. Meanwhile, foreign powers were redlining the continent. In 1846, the Oregon Treaty set the border for the 49th parallel, a straight line that split native tribal homelands without a single native voice in the room. And here's the wild part. No money even exchanged hands. Two nations just sat down, drew a line across 1,200 miles of stolen land like they were slicing a cake that neither of them baked. South of that line, the U.S. claimed everything, calling it manifest destiny. North of it, Britain pocketed the rest. The land didn't move, just the story. By 1853, Washington Territory was carved out of Oregon. Railroads, gold, and logging money rolled in. And on November 11th, 1889, President Benjamin Harris signed a proclamation making Washington the 42nd state. It was named after George Washington, the man romanticized as the father of a nation, though he never set foot west of the Mississippi. The name was symbolic, meant to tie this new state to the myth of American purity and patriotism, even as it was built on displacement. A signature turned stolen ground into statehood. But the truth didn't die with the paperwork. It survived in every generation that refused to forget. Every time you say Seattle, you're speaking the name of the Suquamish leader who signed the Treaty of Point Elliott with eyes wide open, knowing what it would cost. Washington's real story isn't about pioneers. It's about persistence, about nations within a nation still breathing through centuries of erasure. So when we look at this state, the forests, the ferries, the skyline, remember, these are layered lands. Beneath every street name is a treaty. Beneath every monument, a memory. And naming that doesn't divide us, it roots us. It tells the truth because information was meant to be understood. Sweet dives.